Welcome back to Duckman Cycles and VW Garage. I'm your host, the Duckman. We're back today with a 1956 Beetle engine right here from Eleanore. We're getting this thing mounted on this floor pan here, and I've been chipping away at this thing slowly because often I only have about an hour or two a day between work to get some progress done on this car, and I could just kind of bitch out and not do anything, instead and sit on the couch and jerk off. But I'd like to actually have some progress and show something that I've done with my life and have something to show for it. So this is my mark that I'm leaving on the world, and hopefully when I die, wherever that turns out to be, it could be tomorrow, it could be, another 50 years from now. But hopefully that car, whoever the next owner will be, will love it, cherish it, and respect it just the same. So I think we're going to do a little more work on that exhaust pipe, because if you remember, we had a look here that the left-hand pipe here was too short on this end and too long on that end, because apparently the Chinese company that manufactured this bent it with the mandrel in the wrong spot. Now, had they have actually bent it in the right spot, it would have been about an inch shorter there, or been about an inch longer over here. Now, this pipe on the other side here is perfect. This is an exact fit. Now, I talked in my midday Q&A video earlier today. I actually demonstrated what happens when you switch these two. There's only one way to put them on. So there have been some naysayers that called me out and told me, I assembled it wrong. If I knew what I was doing, this wouldn't have happened. Some people told me to cut both parts apart and build. I don't get it. This side's fine. I'm leaving it alone. This side, we're taking about an inch out of here, and we're going to move that flange. And that's the first thing that we're going to do today. So anyways, as always, you guys, like, comment, subscribe, pluck the dingle belly next to the subscribe button, and we get updates every time I upload a new video. Don't forget to check out Duckman Cycles and VW Garage. And if you'd like to email me, duckmancycles@duckshit.net. Thanks for watching, and I just saw a little scooter cart or something go by here. Let's see what he's doing here. Look kind of cool. Oh man, I want to ride. I want to ride. Do a donut. Check him out. I'll watch for traffic for you. Alright, well, we're back. Hopefully the little dude comes back with the little go-kart. I'd like to see him do a couple donuts in the street. That was pretty cool. But first thing we're going to do right on here is we're going to pull off this exhaust pipe on the left-hand side. Boom, there it is. Pull the exhaust pipe on the left-hand side. Okay. I'm going to put this up on the vise. I'm going to take a couple measurements on it. And I've got a chop saw down there. I don't have a grinding disc in it. I meant to pick one up today, but I forgot. But I can always cut it with an angle grinder just the same, so I think that's what we're going to do. I don't want to be running the saw for too long tonight. It's going to start getting dark soon, and that usually is when people like to wind down and not hear so much noise. Okay, let's go ahead and put it in the vise, take some measurements, see what we got. Yeah, you can actually see that little straight section in there. That was just completely unnecessary. They bent it in the wrong spot. Okay, we got our header pipe here clamped into the vise to hold it in place. And we need to measure 1 inch back from this flange. And I think that should give us the curve that we're looking for, so I've got some tape. And masking tape just happens to be exactly 1 inch wide. That was something my dad taught me way back when I was a kid. He used to do a lot of auto body work, and he would measure things with tape. Thought that was always fascinating, measuring with tape. It never occurred to me that masking tape actually had a standard size, and that's, well, 1 inch. Alright, now we have a perfect line that we can adhere to when we cut this pipe off. And there's a couple different ways I could do it. I could use a Sawzall, which would probably make the least amount of noise, and also give us probably the straightest cut. Or I can use an angle grinder with a cutting disc and cut through it. I think we're going to go with the Sawzall. Let's go ahead and hit that up. Careful not to crush it. There's our flange that we cut off. And yeah, you probably noticed I cut the flange off first, and that's because it was real easy to get the thing put up in the vise when it was a big piece, as opposed to taking a tiny little, what would have been a little stub with this on it and trying to cut it off then. It just made more sense to do it now. What I've got to do is I got to clean out the welds from the inside of that here, and I'll probably use a die grinder for that. I need to get this to fit right back over this pipe. But first, before we get into that, let's deburr it. And there's kind of a crappy finish that's on this too. What I'll do is I'll get around this and I'll sand that all off, because I'm going to actually repaint this pipe with some high temperature paint, as this stuff that's on here is pretty shitty. In fact, you can already see it's chipping off quite easily. It's not even sticking to the pipe very good. Alright, I think we're pretty good there. Yeah, I'm really glad when I bought this vise. I actually got it only to put my, what was my, what the hell's it called? Brake line flanging tool. I had to put it in something, and because I was doing stainless, you need to very, very tightly hold the tool, because when you pull that handle, this whole thing is going to move. If I was just using some copper or brass lines or something in it, it wouldn't have required so much force. Alright, I think we're good here. I got to find some kind of grinder that I've got for cutting that out. So, I gotta... Geez, I hope I have all the right parts for it. Well, let's see what we got. We're going to dig around. Be right back. Alright, now ordinarily I wouldn't have put it into the vise like this. I probably would have stood it up vertically instead, but you guys aren't going to get a good video that you can actually see stuff because of the angle and the amount of space that I have in my little work area here. Let's see what we can do with this die cutter, with this little end on here, which I don't know if it's going to be aggressive enough, but we'll find out in just a second. Okay, I think that turned out pretty good because it gets a nice snug fit on that pipe. And that's exactly what I want. That way it doesn't require a whole lot of fill when I weld that sucker in. If I had a flanging tool, kind of like the one for the brake lines, I'd flare this end of it, and then I would leave this loose like that, and then slide it up and then bolt it into place, and then I could turn this at any angle I want to. But unfortunately, that's not the way it's going to work here because I don't have the right tool for it, so we're not getting into that. Alright, let's go ahead and size this thing up and get this thing fitted on the engine and see what it looks like. Alright, let's take this pipe and slot it into position and see what it looks like. Yeah, not bad. Alright, I think that about gets it. I actually cut it a little closer than I wanted to. I think I took a little more out of it. No, I didn't. It's just not, it's not flush yet. Okay, I see exactly why. I got a funny angle on it. What I'll actually have to do is put a little bit of weight right here on this flange. Yep, and that'll cause the pipe to move into the correct angle, and then I'll get that sucker welded on. Right now, without the flange holding it in place, the pipe is a little floppy, so it's going wherever it wants to go. Yeah, a little bit of weight right there on that thing will get it to put it into the proper position. But that should solve my problem here. And let's just see. Yep, look at that. Would you look at that? There it is. Now where's my cotter pin that goes in there? Not even a cotter pin, it's just a pin. Stick that right in there. There we go. And then of course I'll bolt that back up into the proper location. But as you can see now, I can take this Sharpie and I can actually slip it right in between. So that should no longer be an issue. Cutting that pipe down, taking about 1 inch out of it was actually the right thing. Once I get this thing bolted on correctly, it'll actually cause it to move forward. Well, technically that's the back. It'll cause it to go backward a little bit more. So I think we're going to be good in that department. Alright, that's looking good. Let's go ahead and get some stuff clamped, and maybe we'll start putting a couple welds on it tonight. Yes, sir. Alright, I got the welder set up over here. I actually made sure that I could find a ground on it, so I started to spark it off there, and it seems to do the trick. I've got my heat set up to maximum on this sucker. Wire right between 4 and 5. I don't usually mention that stuff, but you guys are always asking, so yeah. There it is. Let's go ahead and get the sucker tacked on here. Of course, now it's not sparking. There it is. Oh, come on. Now what? Gun is jammed. Alright, not sure how that happened, but the welding wire actually hopped off the spindle. It caused it to get looped around the shaft, and it had a couple kinks in, and I want the kinks to come all the way out of this thing. There it is. Alright. Now let's try this piece of shit again. Oh my. Way too much wire speed. Let's try that again. Here we go. There we go. Alright. That should get us tacked into place. I think we look pretty good. I'm going to unbolt that flange. We'll put the sucker back up in the vise, and then we'll finish welding around it. Okay, looking up inside the flange here, you can see the pipe coming through, and you notice it's not exactly straight. It's sticking out a little more here than it was up on the top, even though I did make a perfectly straight 1-inch cut. But when I took my square and put it on here, yeah, I discovered that thing is perfectly square indeed. And get it up there on top of the pipe. There it is. Perfectly square indeed. So getting this pipe put in place and attached to the header made all that difference in the world of keeping this thing straight. So it turned out that the manufacturing process of this J-tube not only had the wrong bend on it, it was just way too long going backwards, and it was too short over here, but also it was on the wrong angle, even though I cut off exactly 1 inch. Okay, I'm going to get in here and I'm going to trim a little bit of this out, and then I'm going to fill it in with a weld. And the reason why I'm going to trim a little bit of that out is because I want to have this as flat as possible. And I don't want to distort the flange too much, and if I weld up on top of it, I'm going to have to grind off more of the weld, and I don't want to do that. So it's easier to cut down the thin pipe though, so that's what we're going to do. Alright. The die grinder did a pretty good job about polishing that out. Now I have a little bit of a taper or a chamfer inside of here. And now it's ready to, well, get welding. There's damn near no gap around this at all, so it's going to be real easy for it to fill in. I will probably once again use the welder at the maximum setting and the wire speed right about 3.5. I think that'll get it. All I gotta do is just get around here and fill in that gap and make sure that it's strong enough that it isn't going to crack from vibration. And it's not a two-stroke. I don't think it's going to be too bad, but let's go ahead and get the welder set up here. Only just so long I can hold my breath. You guys know that I don't breathe smoke for very long, if at all. Because as soon as I get hit with even a little bit of it, I'm done. Well, I think that turned out pretty good. Got a couple of BBs here and there. A little bit of spatter, which is typically the case anyway with a flux core welder. But it doesn't look like I missed any spots. I'll hit it with the die grinder just because to get some of the little high stalactites that are in there. But because it's an exhaust and not an intake, I don't worry too much about these little BBs that are in here because they're just going to come out the tailpipe. Now if I had a turbo or something, I wouldn't want these in there because, of course, that hits turbines and, well, all bets are off. Your turbo's hosed. All right, looking good. Well, that turned out much nicer than I expected it to. Even in here, it's nice and smooth. Good news is the exhaust port on the head is actually smaller than this hull, so if it looks a little rough in here, it's not even going to matter because it's actually going to go right past that anyway. Yeah, the whole pipe is actually a much bigger diameter than the exhaust port is. All right, we're good. Excellent. Let's put it on the engine and see what she looks like. Here goes nutting and everything, all at the same time. Alright. Slot that right into place. There it is. Boom. That went in easy. Really easy.
We make floor covering easy!
Okay. That's on there. That's what it looks like. Not bad at all. Now what I will do is I will strip all the paint off of these guys. I probably said it already, but there's always going to be that one guy that doesn't listen. I'm going to go ahead and strip off all the paint off of these headers and use some proper exhaust paint. And the one that passes underneath the head here, these J-tubes, I actually like to wrap these because you want to keep that exhaust heat off of the heads. Specifically, the valve covers, because these will fill up with oil. And the exhaust being so close to it will have a tendency to heat up your oil. And well, that's a no-no. So yeah, I'd like to wrap it, and that should keep the oil temperature down. Somebody told me 25-degree difference when he wrapped them, so I'm going to be doing the same thing. All right, well, my battery's about to die, so I think we're about to start wrapping up this video. But that gets that header put on there. Everything is actually looking really good at this point. Yeah, looking down at the top, I can tell that that header, at least from my perspective anyway, that header is now roughly, give it about an inch more in that direction. And that seems about right. That seems about right. So instead of 2 inches being pushed out, it actually worked out for the better. One more thing that we need to do, this is the main reason why we did this. Probably should demonstrate it before we wrap everything up. Right here. The old Kafer Bar. There it is. And it's in. And we actually gained space between here. How about that? Before it was only about as thick as a Sharpie, and now it's as thick as my finger. I still need to tighten that nut down on the bottom, but I can see that it'll actually probably gain a little more distance, maybe even more, about 1/8 of an inch. So once I tighten that bottom down in there, I also need to touch up the paint because I kind of messed it up banging it around. Alright, I am very, very happy with that. I am just overjoyed. So anyway, we had a progress day, and things actually worked. So, thanks for watching, you guys. I really do appreciate it. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, pluck the dingle belly next to the subscribe button. Don't forget, check out Duckman Cycles VW Garage Facebook group page. Join us. Almost 600 members right now at this point. Duckman Cycles at duckshit.net if you'd like to email me. And don't forget, check out my other YouTube channel, VV the Duck VV. I try to put a video up right around noon every day, around lunchtime. You know, check it out. It's usually answering people's questions. So if you got a question about this project, or if you have some type of constructive criticism, you got to be constructive. If you tell me something that doesn't make sense, or you try to tell me something that you don't understand yourself because you haven't done the work, then maybe you probably shouldn't say anything at all. Maybe you should put it in the form of a question. How does this work? I'll be glad to answer it to you in the form of a Q&A. So anyways, thanks for watching, you guys. Really do appreciate it. We'll be back tomorrow. Take care. Hope you don't mind being on video. You're going to be famous. Oh, now there's a million cars coming. What fun is that? There it is. Awesome. Right into the mailbox. I think you lose points for that. Now I'm going to do it in my car. That one.